this regular session of the Lsic School Board meeting to order. We'll start out with the opening pledge by Dr. Christian, and I'll follow with the invocation. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please keep the families of those affected by Hurricane Ian in your care, and we keep our prayers for them. We also pray for those who should have struggles that we do not know. Amen. The next thing on our agenda is the annual report of the Local School Improvement Council of Long Drain School.
Good evening. So thank you, board members, Superintendent Wells, and directors, and the staff and principal of Hundred High School for the honor to present such a wonderful school. I'd also like to thank some members of my staff for coming tonight. So I'm going to get started just by introducing to you our Lsic Committee. We have some student members that are part of the committee. Now, they were not able to join us this evening, but you will see them embedded in the presentation. I do want to spotlight something that you see when you come into our building. Our theme this year is kindness, and how kindness matters. So when you come into our school, there's posters, there's all kinds of positive quotes that we can constantly remind our students and staff about how kindness goes a long way. And this is a mural that our brand new art teacher, this summer, I was there working, and he was coming in to clean out his classroom, and we had kind of like a bad spot on the wall where there was like a duct tape mural there before it was falling off, and we needed kind of a quick fix. And he looked right at that spot and said, I can make a mural there. So he drew that freehanded, painted it, and around it you can see all different kinds of quotes that the staff, they all took their turn with a paint pen and wrote a quote that is meaningful to them. So we're real proud of that mural when you come in the building. The presentation tonight you'll see really centers around our two district goals, instructional leadership and family engagement and wellness. At Long Drain, our mission is to support all learners as learning determines success, and hence the red letters LDS. We have two goals, and in your red folders, you will see how we determine, as a leadership team in Lsic, how we determine our academic goal. There's a copy of actually last year's iReady data. And that iReady data, we really analyzed and looked to see what that percentage should be and was realistic as far as our kids go. And we really want to focus instruction by showing 45% of our students performing at Tier 1 level by the end of the third benchmark data. Now tonight you also have up-to-date data that Mrs. Stanford's going to show to you, but this is just how we came to this percentage, by looking at that last benchmark from last year, and now we're hitting the ground running with meeting our kids' needs and doing some other things that I'm going to show you how we're going to reach this goal. So some of our action steps to meet goal number one is, of course, using iReady for 30 to 45 minutes per week in ELA and math. We're diving deeper using resources such as ALEX, IXL. This year, our K-2 are really honing in with phonics. We've seen a lot of gaps there with our little ones. So we are using Saxon phonics, and we actually have some more upcoming training during PLC for Saxon phonics, Wonders, Pearson, Simple Solutions, formal and informal assessments. We really talk about those a lot in PLCs. Co-teaching and small group instruction. You'll see some examples of that with the kids as we go. This week, we are having our first data dive. I think you're going to be real impressed with something that we're starting this year at Long Drain as a staff, and we're doing with our students as well. But our data dives are going to help us really structure and personalize that intervention time for our kids. We have you'll see soon, is a school data room. This is the first year for that, so it is a work in progress. We're starting to get buy-in, but again, we had to get that first benchmark data to just get going with that. but it's coming. Stop and see it. You'll be real impressed. Student data folders. This is also a part of making data meaningful for our kids. So every teacher is taking charge of what data they want the children to connect with, what's happening in their classroom, and how the children can see how they're making personal gains. Individual conferences, using deeper resources. Again, that kind of goes with that ALEX and IXL and other resources that we have to find when we do see students that are struggling. Grade level PLC collaboration, and using pacing guides in curriculum mapping. So this is an example of our PLCs. One way that we've grouped our PLCs this year is pre-K to 2 meet, 3 through 5 meet, 6 through 8 meet, and sometimes we meet as a whole school. It's just it's LDS specific, and one thing that we do is we go by the snapshot that we created as county principals, and then we make that specific to Long Drain. We also have PLC flexibility, where sometimes we just need to sit and talk all things Long Drain, and we really feel that that's helping us grow. This is an example of our data room. So we have one wall right now that is set up with all charts for every grade level, and half the chart is ELA, half the chart is math. We do have some benchmark data on there, and these keys will help teachers see if a student's at grade level, if they're early on grade level, if they're one grade level below. But one of the things that's on the card that you can't see, and just with confidentiality, I didn't want to put student names on there, but one of the things that you can't see here is that there's also critical skills listed on each card. So not only are you going to be able to see what tiers the kids are progressing at, but you'll be able to see, the teachers are able to see the critical skills. So maybe they need help in phonics, or maybe they need help in comprehension, and this key is there to guide them. I do want to give a big shout out to our county coaches. Jackie Shepard and Pam Christie really helped me get this going, because it's been, I'm sure you've heard, it's been a hard year. It's been, we've had just some things pop up that have created a little bit of added stress with some concerning behaviors or whatnot, and the coaches really came to our rescue with getting this started and helping us keep it going consistently. We're excited to see how the growth happens. So as each benchmark occurs, they will come back in, the teachers will collaborate, and again, this week in PLC is our first week to do our first data dive, looking at each group has a morning where they'll go in and they'll look at their groupings and match it with the data that's posted on the walls. Over here we have teachers at the beginning of the year preparing data folders. So every classroom has a data folder for ELA, for math, for social studies, for science, what have you, whatever they want a data folder for, art, music, everyone's doing it, and they make that data personal to the children so that they can go in and, oh, it's on the next slide, sorry. Well, there's pictures of students somewhere. They're tracking their data, where they're having conferences, they're in line to get their data folders, they come back and they are looking at that data, and it really becomes meaningful to them. Here's some other things that we're doing. We have some small groups, co-teaching. This is an example up here. Miss Kane and Mrs. Wheeler did something this year. After last year, Mrs. Wheeler really had to think out of the box, because her kids had some tiers with iReady. It was really hard for the little kindergartners to get their passwords and get going with iReady, because their hands are so small, and passwords are just, they're hard for 6-year-olds. So Miss Holly came up with this idea to have a visual password. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Miss? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
it's okay. Holly, she's amazing. She took the time to put every kid's password using stickers on their laptop, and it's personal to that child, and we put it up on the wall so every kid comes in and they know every day it's apple, tree, ball, heart, star, and that's how they get into their computer, and it is amazing. They're so excited to be able to log in themselves and get started. that we have had no tears, knock on wood, this year. And Ms. Stickler can tell you it was rough last year, but it has been wonderful. Thanks to Ms. Kane for helping us with that.
And another thing Ms. Kane did was she got our staff involved with getting trained for the STAR Lab. So at our first family night, we opened it up to families so that they could come and see the constellations and visit the STAR Lab. And then throughout the week, Mrs. Scott and Mrs. Kane, or Ms. Kane, actually had lessons for the children in the STAR Lab during their gym classes. We're real proud of Austin. He's actually our student council president, and he was an ELPS writing winner. Mrs. Dakin does a phenomenal job. This is my second year, and both years that I've been here, we've had ELPS writing winners that are statewide. So we're real proud of Mrs. Dakin and what she does with writing. So for goal number 2, we're really honing in on social emotional needs. We really know that the learning process is not just academics, but it has to be focused on academics, behavior, and mental health. So we're very proud of our Pbis. We have weekly mental health meetings. Every Monday morning, our mental health team comes together and we analyze our Pbis, our Hornet Helper data. So Ms. Kane, who we just talked about, actually created an electronic referral system for me. And that electronic referral system, the teachers can go in and if there's a discipline problem or if it's just with homework or just there's like 10 different concerns there. They can document it and it comes straight to me and members of the mental health team. Every Monday morning, we look at that data and look to see where things are happening, whether it's in the classroom, the hallway, the lunchroom. It also helps us with attendance. So we can really dive deep into our Pbis data. We have some tier 2s going on this year, small groups. Our YSS coordinator, site-based coordinator, actually pulls for small groups. So like for example today, we saw in our Hornet Helper data that we have some kids struggling with homework and organization. So she's made some small groups to target that. We have a 7th grade group, and it's called Just a Girl Thing is what she named the group. And it's just to kind of help them with some problem solving. We won't call it drama, but she helps them with some problem solving. So we have a lot of good things going on there, and some action steps that we've taken to, just kind of support our Pbis. Every month we have a special positive office referral ceremony. This year, for the first month, we actually had the LDS synchronized swim team, where Miss Yoho actually had some girls dressed up like synchronized swimmers, and they did a little skit on kindness and how it takes working together to have positive behavior. We have Hornet Bucks, and if you earn Hornet Bucks, then you get to shop monthly at the Pbis store. We had our first pepperoni roll day with the principal, and that was for the classroom that had the most Hornet Buck amounts. We have 9 weeks of incentives planned and morning announcements for our middle school students. They take care of leading those. And then just a little bit more about our social emotional support. We have YSS. We have positive action starting this week, where it will be once a week for 4th grade through 7th grade. Guidance counselor lessons. Mrs. Sleep does a wonderful job of making sure of keeping those regular. And if there is something going on that has to, like maybe cyberbullying or any kind of bullying, she makes sure that she gets into the classrooms to do extra lessons for things like that. Our special education students, we have social skills worked into their schedules. And then, of course, absence reports and attendance tracking. My school nurse does an amazing job of making sure that I am kept up with attendance. So this is just an example of some Pbis incentives. We had our first shopping day. Look at all those kids that won those Hornet Bucks there. And then this was pepperoni roll day with the principal. And it was very simple. I just put some tablecloths down, played some music, brought some Dum Dum lollipops, and we talked about all of the ways that they earn Hornet Bucks. These are our positive office referrals. So this was our synchronized swim team with Behind the Water. We take a picture, put that on our social media to celebrate and, make sure all the parents see the great things that their kids are doing. And then, of course, they get displayed month by month. So Ms. Yoda did a wonderful job with being creative there. And then sometimes we do have some discipline that we have to address, and there's an example of this in your folder. This is just a flow chart that I put together to help the staff determine whether it's something that needs, if it's a discipline problem, is it teacher managed or is it administrator managed? And of course, it's noted on here that CPI is a last resort. So that's just something to walk them through. If they're not sure, should I just handle this myself or should I take it to the principal? And then we're supporting district goals. One of the things that we're doing as a staff is some shared instructional leadership. So we have an educational leadership team, and they're my drivers. So they all represent a team, and then they bring a lot of that information. Every single team gets feedback for me on concerns from the staff. So we have an educator leadership team. We have student leadership, that's like student advisory, student council, all working together to address student concerns. We have a crisis response and safety team, a mental health team, student success and curriculum, where they're talking about events planned throughout the school year, and of course address staff concerns. We have wellness friends, so when things pop up like special days or benevolence, things like that, our wellness friends, they handle those events. A CPI team, anytime there is an event where we have to restrain a child, which that is a last resort, but we do have emergency plans in place. Anytime that those things take place, we meet immediately and talk about what worked and what didn't work. Of course, Pbis, that's a big team. I love this little quote down here, a shout out to those rock star colleagues who are amazing friends, who feel like family, who are incredible educators, and who make you a better person and teacher every day. A care crew, Mrs. Wheeler, she's head of our care crew as a leadership team member, and these ladies, they actually, if we need extra laminating or cutting or things like we have the grandparent program, and so we have them support her and help with getting her a successful schedule. We have a technology team, and then our West Virginia tiered system of support managers. And what they do is they handle SAT, 504s, and we talk about how we're meeting the needs of our students at different tiers. One of the things that SREB is really supporting our staff with this year are our WIGs. WIGs stand for Wildly Important Goals, and we were all asked to come up with a SMART WIG this year before school started, and SREB has been in touch with us through PLC time virtually and have come into the school to observe how we're doing with our WIGs. This is an example of Miss Carla's WIG. Very simple, and it's a very meaningful scoreboard of what's happening through the steps of the WIG, and it's a really good visual representation of how that goal will be met. Miss Russmeyer had a WIG of Readers Theater, and I got invited into that, and she had different groups do a different Readers Theater, and it was just fantastic. Here's Miss Blue Hardy, Miss Carla's student. Her WIG was about her writing journey. You want to share a little bit about that?
My WIG was mostly about getting kids to identify letters in their name and learn how to write their letters. So this year we have started journals, which are fine motor journals and writing journals, to help develop our WIG to go along with our SREB goals. So.
And then I'm not sure if you got to see this exciting celebration. One of the things that Mr. Houston got started before I took his position was career exploration, 7th and 8th grade with Mrs. Sigley. They collaborated, and our 7th and 8th graders began going to the high school for career exploration rotations in Algebra 1 last year. So that kind of left us, what are we going to do with our 6th graders when our 7th and 8th graders are up there? The teachers at Long Drain really just dove in and became innovative and really had to reinvent the wheel. Mrs. Williams and Mrs. LaRue went to a training this summer on Discover Your Future. And it is centered around 16 different career exploration clusters. and they brought this back to Long Drain. Well, their excitement really sparked, and members of Discover Your Future program saw their excitement, and we actually had PBS come to our school and film our students doing one of the career clusters. They were actually building a bridge, so they were going through the STEM process. Ms. Kane actually joined in, and so this is them setting up their crew, Ms. Williams getting her microphone on. I didn't get to get a lot of pictures of the kids just doing this because it was closed doors because of the filming. But it is coming out in December, so we'll have some more celebrations about that. But that was a really big deal. And just the way that our building just adapted and was so flexible to these people coming in to do this filming, it was such a day of learning for our middle schoolers. So it just didn't involve them, but it was just such a big deal. We're really proud of them. This is some examples of our ongoing career exploration partnership with 100 High School. We just had some tractor driving winners, and they also attended some leadership. Last year we had some national TSA. I don't want to steal your thunder because I'm sure you're probably going there. But we had Melina Rush, who was a national TSA champion, along with Vincent Sigley and a few others. And then some family engagements. We know that family engagement supports our student engagement. So just some positive things about our community and culture is we have a growing staff. We have a new staff. We're very proud of them. And our new staff and our old staff have really served as good mentors for them. So I feel really good about where we're going. We have staff shout-outs and staff spotlights. We celebrate our service personnel. Every week, staff notes and meeting agendas come out to just kind of guide and direct and keep everybody up to date on communication. We do have weekly PLC flexibility where I put out the PLC guides, and then our PLC facilitators they really go to town with those. And they get in their small groups, or we meet as a whole. We have a social media page, school website updates. We now have a newsletter going out monthly. We have had our first PTA meeting, and we have used the Remind app to make sure our communications with our parents are done safely. Even our PTA has Remind. We use Schoology and LiveGrades to also communicate with parents. The Links program. Athletics, we have football, volleyball, basketball, and cheering, and I forgot to put wrestling on there. Sorry, Mr. Couch. Career exploration. We have ASL students in ASL and completing high school credits. TSA, simulated workplace activities. This was one of Ms. Carla's ideas, but we actually, for our younger special needs students that are participating in social skills, we actually have a work order on Schoology. And so the teachers can go in and fill out a work order, and those students get on the work orders Schoology page and can see what they need to complete from day to day and they love it. They love it. It's just a checklist of small tasks that are realistic for them. We do have a student council. We had our first student council dance last Saturday. We just finished our first Scholastic book fair and made over $5,000. We have the Farm Lab coming the last week of October. The Star Lab, that was a success, thanks to Ms. Kane. And we did finish Summer Soul and Energy Express. And here's some just pictures of our family engagement that we have been so successful with. We actually had our cheerleaders go into preschool and do some cheering. It was too cute. So I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation. We are going to continue making improvements just to support the whole child with mental health, behavior, and academics. We're really honing in on our PBIS, our safety, our intervention, our staffing, and our wellness. One thing I'd like to end with is, if there was ever a year that teachers deserve thanks, it's this year, and last year, and the year before that, actually every year.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have a question that they would like to speak to? I do have one to ask. and I'm not meaning just building, building things, but if there's anything that we can do for you to support you and to try to keep doing these activities, doing these different innovative projects, let us know so that we can help you out.
Okay. I kind of ended with that, with those 4 things, because without your support with our positive behavior incentives, without your support as we make safety upgrades, and like intervention, we really have to reinvent the wheel. And it's been a hard year. Our staffing, the staff at Long Drain have really stepped up with filling vacancies when we haven't. Like today, we had 3 aides out of 4. And so, we have a few people that just run around to make sure that the students are getting what they need. And those days are really hard. And then I was telling Mr. Castillo before, some of the behaviors that we're seeing this year, it's not just like your everyday breaking the classroom rule kind of behaviors. We're seeing some trauma that we haven't seen before. And so, just having the staffing, making sure our safety measures are in place, and just making sure that we can offer those incentives for those very special needs means a lot.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we'll have the annual report of the Local School Improvement Council from Hunter High School.
Good evening. I know we have some new board members, so I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mrs. Sigley. Thank you so much for coming out. Our Hunter High School LSIC members are up here on the board. There we go. If you are here, will you please stand? My staff. My core group here, there's a lot that would not happen without these guys, and I appreciate you being here. In your folders, there is the annual Productive Safe Schools report. It is the one on, I believe it's your left-hand side. That just goes over the discipline from last year, and we use that to help guide as far as when it comes to Pbis, looking at areas where we might be having some issues, whether, pinpoints in the commons, in the gym. So we use that data to try to help drive decisions as far as with not only Pbis, but just keeping our schools safe. One thing I'd like to include in there that we've started just over the past, actually over the past week, is this little report a problem card. And I have up, actually down this hallway there, it's a little box like this that I have this put out to where whether it's students, parents coming in for ball games, have this to where if there's something that maybe they feel uneasy coming to me into the principal's office, that they can just slip that little note in there. I have been checking it every morning. Just to see if maybe a student is needing me but doesn't want to have to face coming in there. You wouldn't think it's a big deal, but it is. So some students, they prefer to slip me a little note, and then I can go and pull them at a time when it's not as obvious to their peers. We have it positioned to where, it's not here in the commons where everyone is at, and went over it with them in an assembly that obviously, if it's something major, you need to report it to an adult. But if it's something that maybe you are seeing someone that is getting teased or bullied, then that way you can put a note in there. They can put their name, they don't have to put their name, but it kind of helps me out to give me an idea of where I need to be watching and want them to feel comfortable and safe in their building. So our strategic plan goals, we're going directly off of what the county goals are, family community involvement, and then our academics and instructional leadership, but also one of ours is career and technical education goals. So with family community involvement, you know, I was once told that the old school having parent-teachers conferences, they just don't work, at least at the high school level. We usually end up getting the parents in that their students are doing fine, and was told that, you know, you really need to go, where do your parents hang out? That's where you need to reach your parents. So we're trying to strive to have different activities to get parents and community members into our school and to try to break down those barriers of whatever fears they may have coming into the building and talking to us. So far we've had car show, meet and greet for the fall sports is always nice. You know, grandparents, community members come out to support. 2 weekends ago, we had our fall festival set up with music in the auditorium and kids' activities, and of course, baked goods, some of the ones like you have there on your table. We have the following events scheduled for the remainder of the year. This is our homecoming week. We have a lot of alumni activities occurring towards the end with alumni band members and cheerleaders coming in. Our Veterans Day program, we are currently in the process of doing like a rededication of our library. Years ago, there was a generous donor that had left some money in memory of his mother. And so we've been working hard on that project and hope to do a ribbon cutting and open house whenever the library is complete. We will have winter sports, meet and greet, movie nights, our spring sports meet and greet, our STEAM showcase, which is probably our favorite. Get to showcase what our students are doing and hopefully a lot more. Monthly newsletters and try to keep our social media platforms up to date. Instructional leadership. We have our PLC meetings and then SRED, which Lori had touched on, our widely important goals. Our widely important goal for our school this year is to increase career readiness for our students and career exposure. Here in 100, there's not nearly the amount of businesses that you have on the riverfront. So we have kids that maybe want to be dental hygienists, they want to be physical therapists, and there's just not a ton of that around. So we're trying to work on innovative ways to bring guest speakers in. I know tomorrow we have a gentleman from Fairmont State coming in to talk about careers and exercise science, and so the staff has been working really hard to bring those people to us. If you have any connections, let me know, because we'd love to have you come in. Our PLC meetings we have found to be very beneficial. It's just really helped overall increase communication within our building. You know, there's a lot that goes on even in a small school. So taking those mornings to meet and discuss whether it's academics or mental health, just the things that, you know, we need to focus on to help our students. The PLC meetings have really helped as far as just overall communication. Our students have lots of leadership opportunities. One thing I'm proud of that our students seem to enjoy talking to others. I know that might sound crazy, but in a digital age where, you know, a lot of students are hid behind their phones, our students, I feel like, they welcome it, whether it's doing podcasts with Mr. Kelch, you know, the Funky Florist that we have, our simulated workplace. We had a grand opening a few weeks ago, and members from the State Department came out. They love sharing what they're doing in the classroom. They also have organizations such as the FFA, TSA, the National Technical Honor Society, that they can take that leadership role. One of our new endeavors is going to be the student-led Mobile Cte Lab, which I will go into in a minute. Teacher leadership. I'm going to be honest, if it weren't for my crew here, I don't know how I'd do it. I have the dream team, and I mean it. We blend and mesh well, and you know, we are able to read each other and see when the other one's needing help, and they just really take it and go above and beyond. Writing grants to help expand programs not only for their classroom but for all the students. Our middle school career exploration grant we received back in the spring was $30,000, and that is all going to be student driven. Also in your folders, has the Mobile Cte Lab. We plan on visiting different middle schools around the county and having them do the hands-on CTE stuff with us. And the key to that is our students are going to help lead that. So it's not going to be a bunch of adults leading it. Our students are going to be leading that. Math for Life grants, I've had Mrs. Miner and Mr. Phillips that have written grants to help with math in their classroom. Here's some pictures of our CTE Mobile Lab. It's currently parked right across the street there. So with this, beginning this fall, we will have students and staff will go mobile to showcase students at Long Drain and the other county middle schools, just different programs available to them, hoping to maybe spark their interest in something that they'd like to either learn more about or maybe even pursue as a future career. These are just some different pictures of our CTE here. I really encourage our 2 new board members, I hope you come out sometime. I'd love to just take you around and show you some of the different things we have going on. We love to entertain. I think the rest of, and Mr. Glasscock, the rest of us can, I think Mr. Caslow, Mrs. Bonner can attest to that we love to have visitors. So please come out and see us. We have our greenhouse and our flower shop that are out back. We have our covered bridge bakery that does all kinds of different baked goods. We have our TSA with all kinds of hands-on projects. So we are definitely a hands-on crew here. Hornet Time. Hornet Time is a built-in 18-minute period that we have every day. And this year we kind of changed it up a little bit. On Mondays and Thursdays, I've been working with students on academic enrichment. The iReady at the high school level is not a very popular thing, so we decided to spice it up a little bit. And we meet every Monday and Thursday in the auditorium, and we do a school-wide Kahoot. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the kids love it. And we've been basing it off of ACT and SAT prep questions. I'll be honest, so they don't get bored. We spice it up every once in a while with sports trivia or music trivia. And from that, I'm able to go through and pull the data and can pay Hornet Bucks to the students that are really trying to participate and hopefully gain some new skills with that. I already kind of touched on our PLCs. Esports, forgot this slide was on there. Like to give a lot of credit to the West County tech guys. Without them, we would have struggled getting this up and running. But we found that we had students struggling with attendance last year, and we thought, what can we do to get them here every day? And this esports, I'm telling you, I wasn't a believer, but I'm a believer. We have had kids that last year maybe missed 40-some days, this year have missed none. I mean, this is their drive. They know if they're here, they're able to participate in this. We have esports Monday through Thursday, every day after school. They have it set up to where they're playing different schools in the eastern part of the United States. And these are just some pictures of our mobile lab, or not mobile lab, but our computer lab upstairs. Positive behavior support, we have our Hornet store, which is located just right up at the top there. With the Hornet Bucks that our students earn, they can redeem those every 2 weeks at the Hornet store. We try to stock it full of items that they'll be interested in. You know, if they have no interest in the Hornet store, they're going to have no interest in earning Hornet Bucks. So we have all kinds of stuff. I've even had teachers say they wish they had a Hornet store. There's fishing stuff, there's all kinds of stuff there. So we've found that to really be a success and a motivator for our kids. So what do we need? I'm gonna be honest, I feel like we've been pretty fortunate. We like writing grants out here, so that's helped us a lot. But some things that we might need is with this Mobile Cte Lab, just helping us to replenish the consumables. You know, there's some things that, you know, once we use it, we're gonna need to restock. Some additional funds for our Pbis Hornet store. Just, I feel like everything is so expensive that, you know, the money that we do have, I'm very appreciative of, but I think we could even gain more attention from our students if we're able to add a little bit for everybody. And then 5 additional gaming desktop computers for our esports after school program. We have so many students that have been staying. You know, we have several of the gaming platforms, but the desktop computers, we feel that we could really use more of, right, Mr. Snedden?
Yeah, we use a few more because they might be gaming one night, but there might be some others that would like to practice at the same time, so we can't accommodate all the students every night.
And again, my hat off to James and Ben and all the tech guys for everything they've done with that setup, because they just were amazing with that. But the 5 gaming desktop computers, you can see a lot of happy students here. One of my son included. He's your son, right? You heard that there. And just want to thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate that, you know, whenever I have a crazy idea or something I'd like to try, you guys have always been very supportive of it, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Does anybody on the board have any question or comment they'd like to make? Well, I do. I came out to the STEAM showcase that one year, and I'm still wowed by it. It was just absolutely amazing, and I hope you'll please let us know when you have it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to come out
Yeah.
again. It was, you would be amazed by it. It was fabulous.
I'd like to add that Mr. Rush's classes made the tumblers that are there for you guys. They're 100 high school tumblers, and our baking and pastry classes made those custom cookies for you guys. They want to make sure you had those goodies.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you very
you,
much.
do you find that your events that you do, kind of out of the box thinking, trying to get parents involved, do you find them effective?
I think so, and I think the more that they see that their child is interested in it, then the more they're supporting it. You know, if they can see, just like with this esports, we have students that I have never seen involved in anything, and there's 5 that come just the top of my head that they're staying, and I figure if they're staying here, they're less likely to be getting in trouble anywhere else. So I'd rather them be here till 5:30 in the evening than not. So I'm really happy with that. And I know out of all of our students, which is 95, but I would say 90 of them are involved in something school related. And I'm glad that we can be that resource and place for them.
Do staff take turns staying after school with them?
Oh, yeah, we do.
We have some gamers there too, I think.
We do. We have, there's really about 6 different staff that rotate the Monday through Thursday. I've always volunteered that I don't mind being here, but you don't want me to, it makes me nervous, the like startup of the game stuff, but I'm good with watching kids. But we rotate turns, so it works out well.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is delegations, and we don't have anyone signed up for one tonight. So next will be the superintendent's information, number 5.
Yes. Well, I'd like to once again thank Long Range School and Hunter High School for wonderful Lsic presentations, informational. I think you guys are seeing the quality of education that occurs in this area of the county. And we are very grateful to both schools for providing the best education for our students and really, truly trying to authentically engage the parents and the community. Very, very pleased with both schools. The next thing I have is we have a resolution of the Board of Education concerning Amendment 2. Other counties in the state have done similar ones, We would like to put it before the board tonight. Mrs. Bonner, if you would do us the honor of reading this, and hopefully we can get signatures from people and do a board resolution this evening. During the 2022 general election, West Virginians will be asked to vote on a proposed amendment to the state constitution called the Property Tax Modernization Amendment, Amendment 2, which if approved by voters would bring substantial changes to West Virginia's constitution. It's not the place of the Board of Education of the County of Wetzel County to tell registered voters how to vote on this issue. However, the board has a duty pursuant to West Virginia Code 18-5-1 to supervise and control the operation of its schools and to maintain a thorough and efficient school system. Therefore, the board believes it is crucial to inform the public of the potential impact that Amendment 2 could have on the public education system in Wetzel County if approved by voters. Whereas, the passage of Amendment 2 would give the state legislature the ability to exempt the personal property tax for most businesses, namely business machinery, equipment, and inventory, and an individual's personal property tax on vehicles. And whereas, the board relies greatly on personal property taxes, which provides critical funding for our schools and other public entities to support the safety of our schools, such as law enforcement, fire protection, emergency and medical services, also rely significantly on personal property taxes. And whereas the board finds there is no public legislative plan for what the legislature intends to do if Amendment 2 is passed, and further finds that Amendment 2 does not contain any language that would require the legislature to make the board and other levying bodies whole for lost property tax revenues that would result if Amendment 2 passes and the legislature subsequently repeals all personal property tax referenced in Amendment 2. Whereas, therefore, there is no legal requirement or consensus, no agreement, and no stated plan or objectives that voters can read to understand the intended or ultimate impact of Amendments 2 on the educational system and other essential county and city services before they cast their vote. And whereas the board finds that more than $500 million in estimated necessary funding for schools in all 55 counties, first responders, and county and city services will potentially be placed at risk and could potentially be stripped away, resulting in fewer teachers and school service personnel, police officers, firefighters, and emergency responders. And whereas the board finds that according to West Virginia State Tax Department figures, an estimated at 2/3 of property tax revenue funds for K-12 education, and whereas the board finds the passage of Amendment 2 could specifically result in the estimated loss of approximately $7.5 million in funding for the board, affecting the board's general budget, as well as current and future excess levy revenues, and the potential loss of which could result in removal of educational projects and services. And whereas, even with our current funding, county boards of education in the state of West Virginia, including Wetzel County Board of Education, are already suffering from significant shortages of teachers and service personnel, and have some of the lowest paid teachers in the country, and do not have the funding to provide employees with comparable salaries of other surrounding states. And whereas the potential harms to the board's mission and duty to provide the students of Wetzel County with a thorough and efficient public education that could result from the passage of Amendment 2, and therefore potentially quite significant. And whereas there is no language anywhere in Amendment 2 that would require the legislature to avoid those harms by making the board or other levying bodies made from lost personal property taxes that would result if Amendment 2 passes, and the legislature then repeals all the relevant personal property taxes. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the County of Wetzel County as follows. 1, the board finds that this is not a political issue, but an operation and safety issue
that involves significant potential decreases in funding for public education in Wetzel County. 2, the board further finds that there is no language whatsoever in Amendment 2 that would require the legislature to make the board whole for any lost property tax revenues that would result from the repeal of the personal property taxes that are in the subject of Amendment 2. And 3, the board further finds that A, the estimated potential impacts of property tax revenues on which the board relies in large part to provide free public schools in Wetzel County are quite significant. And B, if Amendment 2 passes and the potential lost revenue actually occur when the relevant property taxes are repealed, such lost revenues would directly and adversely affect the board's ability to provide a safe, thorough, and efficient system of free public schools in Wetzel County. Therefore, the board cannot offer support for Amendment 2, dated this the 10th day of October, 2022. Copy, and I am going to sign the clean copy as the president. That we do not support Amendment 2.
President Bonner, members of the board, speaking as superintendent for the county school system, I appreciate your proclamation and fully support you in what you're doing in advising on the advisement of Amendment 2 and what it could do to our school system.
It has been signed by all of the board members.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right. Okay, so the next thing we're on to is superintendent's recommendations. First thing is A, the approval of minutes from the meeting on September 26, 2022.
I move for approval of minutes.
Do we have a second?
Sorry.
It has been moved by Mr. Castelo and seconded by Dr. Christian to approve the minutes from September 26, 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now down to personnel matters, retirements, resignation, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular, and mentor teachers. Do I have a motion for approval of the superintendent's recommendations as outlined under personnel matters?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. Christian. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Glasscock, to approve the superintendent's recommendations under personnel matters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The next thing on here is a board discussion relating to personnel concerns. Since it is personnel concerns, we are going to have to go into an executive session. I'd like the board to be in there, and Mrs. Wells, if you would be in there also with us. But then that's all that we need to have in there with us. So do I have a motion for us to go into executive session? So moved by Mrs. Nice, and I will second that. At 7:24, we're going into executive session. out of executive session at 7:40 PM. Dr. Christian motioned to leave executive session. Mrs. Nye seconded it, and it was approved unanimously by the board. Okay, so now we are on routine matters. Out-of-state trip, SRO agreement, request to use school facilities, lease agreement, chaperones and volunteers. Do I have a motion for the approval of the superintendent's recommendations as outlined under routine matters?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Castelo. Do we have a second? Second by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Treasurer's report.
I'm asking for approval for item A, approve the payment of bills for the month of September, which you have received in your packet. And I have nothing under item B, no transfers or increase in the budgets.
Okay. I move that we approve the treasurer's report for the approval for payment of bills for the month of September. Do we have a second? Second. It's been moved by Mrs. Fawner, seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor, in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 8, the second reading of the revised Russell County policy, which is IKC dual credit policy. This is for approval of the second reading of revised policy as listed above. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
It's been moved by Dr. Christian, second. Second by Mr. Glasscock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Board member committee reports. Does anybody have a board member? No, none there. Then I'll move on to other items. And this is discussion of policy 2322, the West Virginia Support and Accountability, school performance, student outcomes, academics, and student achievement.
Today, during our staff meeting, we began the protocol and practicing the protocol for our vision committee. We are reaching out already to members of the community to become members of the Whatcom County Schools Vision Committee for planning out for the next 5 years. We had a very productive meeting this morning. I feel that the support will be there when we do bring the county committee together, that we will all be ready to and go, and we're excited to see what that committee brings to us. So I wanted you to know that work is beginning, and we are very excited about the prospects of what can come out of that committee.
And there are people from all attendance areas.
Yes, all
Thank you.
attendance areas, and we're adding more as they come. We have business members, chamber members, community members, retired teachers, you name it, we got it. Service personnel.
How many
Yes.
people will probably have a ballpark number?
I do not,
Okay.
not at this time, because I'm not going to be exclusionary. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with 100 members, but I'm not going to be exclusionary.
Somewhere between 0 and
And 100.
There you go.
Won't be that big, I promise.
0 and 15.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. That being said, Mrs. Stanford.
Okay, I will give you guys the results of the first benchmark when I'm ready. I won't go through all that paperwork with you, but I do want to go over the county results. And I gave you individual school results, but you don't know the results. But the county results, we tested 1,703 out of 2,038 kids, but that counts, that's the whole county. So the 11th and 12th graders do not take the benchmark. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So that's why that number is off. But in math, countywide, 13% of our students was in the green, which means they're on grade level. Which right now, this is this year's grade level. So they're more than likely to be on yellow than green. So 13% is in the green on grade level, 43% is in the yellow, which is one grade level below, and 44% is in the red, which is 2 or more grade levels below. Our lowest domains were algebra and geometry. And if you want to look at individual schools, then you can see how they did in each grade level at their school.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, I thought you were
No, go
done.
ahead.
So really what we're saying, these ones that are in the green are already able to do a lot of stuff that they have to know for the end of the year.
Right.
So that's really amazing, that's good. I need to make sure we challenge them. And that the ones that are yellow are actually, they're in the process of where they should be.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And in the reading, we tested 1,679 kids out of 2,045. Again, the 11th and 12th graders do not test. So that's the difference in the kids not testing. 20% was in the green, or on grade level. 37% in the yellow, 1 grade level below. 44% was in the red, 2 or more grade levels below. Our lowest domains in reading was vocabulary, comprehension, and informational text. And that's countywide. So again, you can look at the schools, you can look below and then on the county sheets too and see your countywide grade levels. But each school has their own report there for you to look at. That's what I
Ms.
have.
Stanford, thank you very much. Mr. Houston?
I really don't have anything other than thank both schools for their presentation tonight.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kimball?
We're working right now in special ed on a training I mentioned to you guys maybe a couple weeks ago on the 21st of October. We're going to do a morning session with our special ed teachers, so we're working on the agenda for that right now. We've got a binder that we're creating, getting that copied and processed so that they'll have something in their hands when they have a question. We can maybe tell them, okay, flip over to this page, and then we can walk through it with them. I'm more of a textile piece of paper kind of guy, and I learned the best that way. And if they have something in their hands as an example, I think it's going to help them out too. And we've got a lot of new teachers in the special ed side of it that that's not necessarily a bad thing, because right now we've got that brand new system, Pbis 2.0. They don't know the old system, which is great. So they don't know what they're missing. They've been trained on the new system, which, you know, honestly, like I said, they don't know what they don't know. So it's actually been really good showing them the first way is this way. So that's been good. If you back over on the front page of the agenda, we had a resignation of our LPN at New Martinsville School. That leaves us with one nurse up there right now. And I've talked with Mr. Cook and Mrs. Wells, and I think that we maybe need to look at hiring maybe another school nurse to fill that position. Right now, and the only reason I say that is right now, if the one nurse, school nurse is out, we have to get someone from, and there's no subs, we have to get someone from another school and bring up so that there's a certified nurse in the building at all
LPN
times.
certification is not enough. You have to have a full-time school nurse.
And I had the school nurse up there write me down a list of all the stuff that goes on. And, you know, you heard Mrs. McLaughlin talk about the needs of our students. We've got a plethora of kids with extreme needs, ranging from diabetes to, I think there's 15 to 20 kids every day that has to have medications given to them at certain times. Not to mention, I think she mentioned that there are at least, at minimum every day, 50 kids that come into the nurse's office. Just that alone would completely fill up one person, you know, in a day's time. And that's not to mention, you know, if a kid gets sick, just out of the blue, boom, everything gets changed in your whole schedule. And there's documentation to go along with everything that they deal with. Having just one person up there, I don't think, and plus being our biggest school, and have a lot of the greatest needs, and you know, every school's got their needs, but they're, you know, we double with the size of the school for kids. So I'd like your blessing to maybe post that as another school nurse up there.
So that would be posting for a position that somebody's leaving.
We had an LPN.
Right.
That is down. That will be, you know, today was her last day, I'm assuming. Is that correct, Mr.
Effective
Cook?
October 7th.
October 7th, I'm sorry. So yeah, there's the current school nurse, and there's
Nobody else.
we, you know, I did talk to Dawn, the school nurse up there, and, she has been getting a sub up there currently.
So the only change would be
It would go from an LPN to a registered school nurse.
Right.
So we're having one position done away with and one position added, so that would balance out, although one may take it.
One's a school service personnel, one's a professional.
Okay.
Different rate of pay as well.
Having taught at that school, before we had nurses and having to distribute those medications in my own classroom and have to document everything, 4 or 5 kids, in the classroom. So it's way more than how many you said that they give medicine to, and I know how many we did. And with nowadays and all the health requirements, I know I'm one of the ones that's pushing to get that number down, but I don't think this is the place to try to get the number down. I think it's a need. That's my comment.
If there's a need, and there is.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lancaster, anything else?
The only thing I'll point out to you is last week, I believe it was Thursday, I can't remember what day it was, Mr. Cook and I submitted the final certified list, which is, what that really means is, you want to know how many people we are over the funding formula. It's not it is a moving target, but in reality, they look at the second month. So they look at what's our enrollment as of the second month, as far as students go, compared to how much staff we have as far as second month goes. So we submitted that, and they'll do all their calculations statewide and come up with a number of, based on your number of students, here's how many employees we will fund you, and that'll come up with a number that I'll share with you as that what our new number is over the funding formula. But that's a big process that we just finished last week.
So we'll probably see that in November.
They'll give it out, it probably, maybe December, I can't remember when that comes out.
Mr. Cook?
Last week, tested for aides, cooks, secretaries, it was a long week, but hopefully got some good people there. I got, in the aides, I tested 23, 15 of them passed. Got to vet them, got to background check them, and then hopefully we'll get some of those, and some of them will be some good people out there, and get them on the sub list and get them in the door. Cooks wise, got a couple. I got a couple there that look pretty good. Secretaries, I got a couple. Hopefully they're going to be okay, but still got to vet them, got to get background checked and everything, make sure we're good to go. And then get them out there and get them out on the street, see how we do with them. So we did have some show up, but I'll tell you how that worked out. And this is no lie. Sent out, I don't know why I just said that. I sent out over 60 letters for just the secretaries. And their first thing they were to do was to call and set up their appointment to take the test. I got 9 that showed up for the test to take it. And then ended up having, I think, 4 pass the test. So, I mean, that's what it got down. So out of over 60 over the year, we keep the application for a full year. And I went back through the files for a full year and called anybody and sent them letters. And again, their direction was to call Joanna, set up a time, come in. Some people cannot follow some directions, but the same thing with the ACE test, the Cook's test. Custodians I already tested a couple months ago, but that's the same thing. Everything is online now. And anybody out there that wants to look at job descriptions, look at the practice tests, it's all under West Virginia Department of Education under service personnel, and then you put in SWAY, S-W-A-Y. If you do that, it's a whole new app, but you just click on aides or secretaries or whatever you want to look at, whatever you want to possibly be in the service side. Bus operator, and they have practice tests, they have the job description, they have everything that you could, that I would used to give out paper-wise and send to them. Everything is online now. But the key word is SWAY, Microsoft SWAY. So West Virginia Service Personnel and SWAY. And it pops up, there's 2 little kids running off a bus. They're not screaming and hollering, but there's 2 little kids running off of a bus. If you get that picture, you're in the right place. And then you scroll down, has all these little other pictures, and it has like clerical, food service, and you click on that, and then little things pop down, or pop up, so like food service, and it'll have cook, click on cook, and then, yeah, it'll come up like test, practice test, job description. And again, those are things that we used to send out, but now there's just so much to it, you really gotta go online and find that stuff. And that's what I tried to send out, that, we call it that, link, yeah, that link to that particular place out there in that wonderful world of internet that Al Gore made up. It's there, and it's for everybody to go check it out. And it's just wonderful, it's just great.
Speaking of substitutes, I know that was service personnel, and I had pushed, and I've spoken up about how we need substitutes. I want to thank the county office directors that went out into the schools and substituted this past week. Not only did it help the students, because they had a teacher for the full day, but it also helped the morale of teachers in the school and see that the county office was sending people out to help. So those people out there.
Whenever we are talking about this need or whatever, can you keep calling to fill in, how many times can you call them before we come?
The phone system calls, we don't, a lot of times we don't personally call them to computerize it.
You get a report though.
But actually, if we, like, if refuse or 75 times and it's still, they're still on the list.
Yeah, they're still on there. I mean, at the end of the year, we get a printout, and we used to send out letters that said, you're supposed to answer the call at least 40% of the time to go to those jobs. You know, we've been pretty lenient on that over the last couple of years. You know, we're just trying to get people to show up to work now. You know, you get in there and cover a day, it's a day you don't have anybody else to do it, so it's a good thing.
Is that it?
That's all.
Okay, and our last thing is number 11, date and time of next meeting, which is tomorrow night for the LSIC for Magnolia High School and New Martinsville School, which will be at 6 p.m. at Magnolia. Then on October 24th, we'll have an LSIC for Valley and Shortline School at Valley at 6:30. And then on October 25th, we'll have the LSIC for Payne City High School and Payne City Elementary at 6 p.m. So does anybody have anything else?
Yes, I have one more for Mr. Akers.
When you're, could you kind of verify, tell a little bit more of what we're paying, approving the pay?
Tonight,
Well, since we've already approved that,
Right.
so what you need in the future to do when we get our packets with that is if there's something you're not sure of, because he hears me, if there's something you're not sure of, just give him a call and he'll explain to you what it is.
I've done that many times, Ms. Bonner knows, but yeah, and it helps to have my computer in front of me because so much that goes through there, but I'll be able to give you an answer on anything you have a question about.
I was going to ask a little quick, but you was a little fast on that.
Payne City Elementary doesn't have school Friday, is that correct?
Right, as of right now,
As of right now.
they don't. The unit is expected to leave Parkersburg at 9 o'clock. They don't leave before 9 because of the issue of school buses on the road. They are due to arrive at Payne City Elementary and begin work, and they should be done by the end of the day, and kids should be back in school on Monday.
That's just, they'll be going, they'll be staying at home.
They will be staying at home. Teachers will be working to get work on Schoology for the kids, and we are right now, Mrs. McPherson is aware, and Mrs. Chambers and they are working to see how we are going to get lunches made for the kids at Payne City High School. And so that will.
They'll be taken care of.
Yes, they will.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Then I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Costello to adjourn. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mrs. Nice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.